we have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at PurelyArsenalFP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another edition of a Purely Arsenal podcast with the champions, Premier League champions, Super League champions, whatever you want to call us. We're here, back, first game of the season, if you want to call it that, this season opener. Community Shield to discuss the 3-0 bashing of Manchester City and transfers, and look ahead to the first game of the Premier League season on Friday night against Coventry at the Emirates Stadium. James Johnstone with me. How you doing, James?
Oh, pleasure to be here. I mean, every time I keep coming back on here, we're winning a trophy. I might stay off until we win something again. It's been brilliant. Well, obviously, apart from the transfer show, but yeah, we'll get towards that at the end. Shocking performance from me this year.
You could say from the club. From the club, we did fine. It's the club that's letting us down.
We gave them the foundations. They just didn't take the advice, Oh,
absolutely. Well, we'll get to that. I mean, always at this point in the window, with 2 weeks left in the transfer window, I think every fan just wants to hear about transfers. But, as things are relatively quiet on that front, I think, and we've just played, the Community Shield less than 20 minutes ago-ish, we've got to discuss that. We've got to discuss that first because, it's the first sort of season opener. Our pre-season's been, lots of players coming back in a staggered format after the World Cup, lots of people out. It's been a slow one, and as expected, so many players at the World Cup that went late into it. But, going into this game, really, really interesting. I was really interested to, a lot of people say, it's a sort of glorified pre-season friendly. Obviously, we won it, so we're going to call it the Domestic Super Cup. So, but, it doesn't always have an effect on the seasons. There's a lot of evidence to suggest it doesn't have much of an effect at all on what's going to happen in the season. But I'll tell you what, I'd much rather have had our performance and our result as opposed to theirs going into it. So you can talk about it what you like. But I found the lineups and the squad quite interesting. I know Arteta's had some comments there about some of the people that were left out of the squad, and he's been very, collective and amicable and, harmonious, if you want to call it that. But James, irrespective of that, actions speak louder than words. What were your thoughts on the lineup, which I predicted, not to you actually? Usually me and you always send lineups. I predicted it to my brother. I got one wrong. I said Dalman would start instead of Madueke. So I'm guessing you were pretty close on your lineup. But the squad and how City set up as well.
Yeah, it's funny. Funny enough, I didn't do one, but I was on a podcast earlier in the morning and we were discussing it. And Ken Blair, shout him out. He gave his lineup out, and he said exactly the same. But he went, I think Havertz will start over Gyökeres because the journos put theirs up, and it was exactly what pretty much was there, except they actually had Dalman on the right hand side as well as Madueke. Yeah. So, but yeah, he said Madueke and Havertz will start, so he got it completely spot on. Wow. And I agreed with him. I said to him, yeah, I think you're right there, Kenny. I think that's what's going to be the team. So, yeah. I mean, you don't want to rush certain players back in. I mean, thank God Raya played. I can't. I don't want to lay into players, Jack, this early in the season. But the other goalkeeper that's been playing in the pre-season, I know Melié's had a few performances here and there, but yeah, the less said about the other one, the better. And it just goes to show you, we know how well Spain did in the World Cup because they obviously won it, and how well that goalkeeper did for them. But this guy's still no slouch. I mean, what he was superb again today. Some of the saves that he had to make. He's just different gravy, isn't he, Raya? He's so good. Unreal. So good. Got the Moulin haircut going there. I like it on him. I like it. Oh, he looks class, mate. He looks class. Yeah. No.
Some people can't pull it off, but it looks good on him.
Yeah. And you want to talk about fast starts? There you go. We'll score the fastest goal in the history of the whole bloody competition since it's begun.
Oh, well, let's get on. Before we get onto it, but just before, because it's so easy. I mean, literally, I was barely sat down.
Yeah, I know.
Before you get onto it, I did want to ask you, what were your thoughts on removing Martinelli and Nwaneri from the squad? I know he said after it, he doesn't agree with the numbers that they put up for squads, but that is quite telling for me. And to be honest, when I saw it, I thought, Could we have done it a week or two earlier? Maybe we couldn't have. Maybe we didn't have the numbers in and around the squad. I don't know. But, it would encourage and create a market for these players a little earlier, I think. I don't think a pre-season performance is doing Martinelli much good at this point. Everyone knows what you're getting with him. But anyway, what were your thoughts on that? And then if I look at it, James, I think that is almost City's strongest team currently. Obviously, they're going to spend 300 million in the next week, so that's going to be irrelevant. But currently, that City's probably, other than Gahey, that is probably City's strongest lineup. Whereas ours, you could argue there was 3 or 4 minimum that are missing, and that's without our hopeful signings as well. So I just wonder what your thoughts were on that, and whether we can do a little bit better to create a market for players that we know are surplus to requirements at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, really tough, Jack, because we have these conversations offline a lot, me and yourself. And, I still, and you're obviously a few years older than me, so you can tell me if you know one, because I certainly don't. But I struggle to find a club that has won their domestic championship, got to a final of the premier club competition that you can get to, which is the Champions League, and then got in one of their domestic cup finals as well. There's 4 trophies you could win every year, and we nearly did 3 of the 4. But yet there's no market for our play. Nobody wants our play. And it goes back to the previous regime and maybe the manager before he was stronger, in that he gave silly contract, some of the money that some of these players are on, Jack. Yeah. We talk about it all the time. It's absolutely ridiculous. Reece Nelson, we're renewing you to retain or to protect your value. He's going for nearly 3 million quid. Well, we've probably paid more in that 100 grand a week that he's been getting for the last God knows how many seasons that he's been on these silly loans where he's only played about 3 games and then his hamstring. My hamstring's gone again. It's just utterly ridiculous. But yeah, he spoke afterwards. He gave a politician's answer, in my opinion. We know what it is. Yeah, we're not thick. He's trying to. He's a good person in terms of he don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. He's not one of these cutthroaty type managers that will bury someone down the line, verbally or whatever. In terms of that aspect, I know sometimes he's called players out on certain things that they've done in games, but he's not someone that's like, oh no, I want this player out. Actually, sell him. He's not as visceral as that, as opposed to some other managers who will just outright be like, yeah, he's not staying here anymore, or I don't want him anywhere near my team or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I respect that he's respectful in that aspect, but yeah, the optics don't lie. We know what's happening here, and people can say all they want about the amount of money that Arsenal's got. This 800 million that we got going into the final of the Champions League, the Premier League, the shirts that we're selling, and this commercial deal, that commercial deal. That I know there's that VAR, PSR, there's that SCR now, the squad cost ratio. That squad cost ratio one's very interesting because, we look at it last year. We done, what was it, 172 million on a new strike force? You can't do that then keep thinking, we're going to do another 200 odd million again. We're going to do a big load. The transfer pod that we did, the total spend that I made up in my head was 322 million. We're getting nowhere near that. But that 322 million was with a recoup of 203.
But it all seemed very realistic when we said it.
Yeah. But you're not doing anything like that. You're not spending anywhere near that kind of money, mate, without selling, And this is it, is that a portion of our fan base are very loyal to players that really shouldn't be here anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't get me wrong. I have an affinity for all of them. They've just won us a title. But you've got to use your edge. We've got to move these players up. And sadly, someone that people probably don't want to sell has to go.
Yeah, without doubt.
Because you can't keep spending like that. You can't do 100 millions here on this one, 70 millions here on this one, and you're only recouping about 30 back on, I don't know, maybe a young player, or
even dope clubs don't do it, James. This is my argument I make to my brother. I'm like, even dope doped clubs that are doing all this dodgy stuff. I mean, even that, and obviously their sales are in, well, you know, let's not get into their numbers, but that you can't spend 300 million every window without recouping. You know, and just say, oh, we're just going to let them go for free as well. You've got to, at some point, in a self-sustaining model, if we're still mildly into that, recoup. And the argument I always make is we're remove the dope clubs. We don't sell as well as the average clubs. We're right down at the bottom in terms of sales. And you can't on the one hand say, look at the market value of our squad. We've got the best squad in the league. That's why we won the title. Well, why does no one want any of our players? There's two factors. One that you said, we give out ridiculously high contracts way too soon. We gave Martinelli 180 grand a week in February of the one good season he had. So we didn't even wait for him to finish it. We just gave it to him. We just gave it to, you know, it's too soon. Like, you're like, what you doing? 180 grand a week. It's mental money. But the other thing is that sort of contract and that sort of money and the way we treat players makes it a very nice environment that players don't want to move. Look how happy Reece Nelson is to be back in pre-season training. It's like a vacation spot for him to come back to Arsenal, isn't it? It's like when we also build up as kids, so you go away for a week, you'd be so excited. That's Reece Nelson when he comes back to Arsenal. He can't believe that he's still being allowed in the training ground. You know, it's mental, really. And that was a contract given out by this manager, in fairness. And I love Arteta, but you can't give that out. And we've got to be. I don't like it when players just get shunned into different areas. You know, but you can't be doing that. You can't. You've got to have a little bit of a balance there, where, you know, maybe you do. Yeah, you remove Nelson and Vieira from pre-season because it's just not worth it. What's the point in that? But I do think it's interesting, the timing of it now. That'll be interesting. We'll get to the transfer part of it. But let's start on the game. I mean, very interesting the way City set up, very strong. I don't know how. I think this pre-season's been pretty strong. I don't know, but I've seen few little results. But the way we started was fantastic. But that move from Lewis Skelly, obviously I can't rewatch the highlights yet because we don't usually record this early. Usually I'll rewatch it a couple of times. But the way he rolled, whoever he was, like Elliot Anderson or Kovacic is one of them, and played that ball, that is something that we've lacked quite a lot in our midfield. I think that ability to play the ball between the lines, roll, no touch, one touch, bomb, go. It was so impressive, and he was incredible until the point that he come off Lewis Skelly. He's had a great pre-season as well. Yeah, and you know what? I thought that was a great tact from Arteta and Arsenal from the off. You know, like you said before we started recording about the lack of Rodri being in there and what have you. It was just like, get Calafiori down that left-hand side, create a five or whatever in that overload, get that extra man in the midfield and everything. And they can't cope. We'll just run straight through them. And we did. They were like, they ain't got there's no bite in that midfield whatsoever, boys. You can bypass them, you can get through them. And yeah, it was an absolutely brilliant start. And again, Neil, if he's here, he loves it. He always says that Calafiori's the best striker at the club. He took that, like I put in the chat, he took that like he was prime Henry. Side foot finish. I'm like, as much as I credit Lewis Skelly, it's unbelievable. And this is why this player can't be sold, because he's a generational talent in this middle of the park. He ain't even at the levels of what he can get to. So, you know, if anyone is listening, don't sell him, please, because he is. No, you can't. We don't need money that bad. I don't need a signing that bad. Do you know what I mean? Do you know? We need it. Without doubt, we need it, but not an expense of that. Not an expense of that. Sell two or three others if you have to make up that amount. You know what I mean? We've got a big enough squad in order to do that. You know, like our squad is. You think about the players that missed out today. We've got a big enough squad in order to go. I'll just do small clippets elsewhere, but you got to get moving on it. Sorry, carry on. Yeah, no, spot on, and just as well as all the pass and the vision and everything else like that. The finish was superb. It was every single goal we've scored today, Jack, is you know, and we're boring. We only score set pieces. I saw 3 absolutely tremendous goals today. Didn't create one XG. We didn't create 0.1 XG from set pieces today. It was 2.8 to 0.6, which is much lower than I thought City, because they did have a few chances, but a lot of them were from distance, you know, or you know, I think Haaland had one good one from within the box, but yeah, a lot of them were sort of from distance, and Raya was, yeah, absolutely fantastic and so alert, wasn't he? But even when there was, you know, lots big spells where we were absolutely dominant. But I found really interesting that midfield dynamic, James, because in pre-season in the last game against Como, I was having an argument with my brother. I was like, I can't tell if Lewis Skelly or Bruno's the deepest midfielder here. It's quite interesting, like, you know, when Bruno came on anyway. And in this game, it was much the same. I think Bruno started in the six, but it's very, very interesting to see that double pivot partnership work. A bit like you saw with, you know, we know Rice can do it. So Rice can do it with almost anyone, but it's very interesting to see Lewis Skelly to be able to do that. We know Bruno's got the experience of doing that. We're not seeing it for Arsenal, but you know, that's why we bought him a 6'8" model. But it did make me start to think a little bit about Zubimendi and his limited ability at the sole six. Very good. I love Zubimendi, but he's much more limited than those three from what I saw here. I don't know if you think the same.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, you know, last season he was popping up, scoring goals and everything. You could see, like, well, this is a talent. You know, we were over the moon when we signed him, but there are limitations to his game. We saw that towards the end of the season, what those limitations were. Even though he played every single game for us in the league, he stopped starting, didn't he, towards the end? And that's when Miles' emergence come through. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like, what Miles can do for me, I think he offers way more in terms of not just a defensive threat, but an overall threat than what Zubimendi does. And I know that's not me writing Zubimendi off and saying sell him now, get rid of him or what have you. But yeah, you can clearly see that in terms of the long-term future of this club, that it's going to be Miles Lewis-Skelly that's probably going to dominate that position, hopefully. And yeah, it was really interesting, like you say, because that platform of Miles and Bruno allowed a much maligned captain of this club to look like he was 2 or 3 years ago when the man was in his pop. You know, we used to sit here, Jack, and be like, well, we know who man of the match is going to be today because it's going to be Odegaard because he's just better he's the best footballer we've got. And today, again, I know Zolis got his 2 assists or what have you, but he completely run the show today, Martin. I'm like, when I watch him play like that, I'm like, please do this next week versus Coventry, and then the week after, and then the week after. I'm like, please don't regress, don't go back hiding or whatever. I'm like, be this player, and I think he will relish the fact that he's got all them behind him that will do that work for him, because he's most effective. You know, you don't want Martin Odegaard anywhere near your own halfway line. You don't. Get him up there, playing around with his, you know, with the winners, linking up with the forward and what have you, and then get him taking pot shots in the box, because we know he's got a brilliant shooter of the ball. He used to be like a snooker player with some of the shots that he used to take. He'd place them. There was no power in them, but he just, and they were just perfect. And I'm like, bring that back, because that's the player that we need. We don't need the one who's going into centre half and trying to beat 5 people and everything, because he doesn't trust. You know, you could tell that he clearly beforehand didn't really support what he's got behind him or whatever in order to help him facilitate that high up. So that's why he kept coming deeper and deeper and deeper. I don't think he was instructed that way, but I think he was doing it of his own volition, because he's like, I can't, you know, these guys ain't got even the mobility or the legs or just the acumen to do that. But yeah, now he's got players in there that I think athleticism wise and acumen wise on their day are just as good footballer as he is. Because Bruno, you know, we can say what we like about Bruno in the past and the battles that he's had with this club over, but he ain't a bad footballer. You know, he's a good footballer. Plays for the Brazilian national team. You don't, you know, other than Casemiro, you don't get dopes playing for Brazil anymore. And Richarlison, you don't really get dopies in Brazil. So he's got to be somewhat of a good player. And Miles is Miles, like we just spoke about. So
yeah, it's a really, like, because you're looking about last season, Zubimendi and Rice vastly overplayed, and you're going, okay, how far down the pecking order has Zubimendi really gone here? But also, how many midfield? It does feel and it's early to say it, but well, maybe it's not, but we definitely feel like we've got one midfielder too many, which I love, by the way, because we kind of did that in attack last year. When we got Eze, we were like, well, where does he fit? And in the end, it was really that one extra attacker, but it really got us through. You know, you think about how many minutes Eze played in the 10 as well as left wing. You know, it got us through. So I like it, but logic tells me the difference with the attack was it wasn't this level of player that might have gone down the pecking order. You know, Zubamendi's been a must-start player, you know, in club football for his whole career. So to be possibly further down the pecking order than he was at the end of last season, you know, you have to say, if we're talking surprise sales, he's got to be quite high up the list at this point, because you know, Lewis Skelly is playing like a man that is absolutely desperate to make sure his future is at Arsenal Football Club, and you know, he's and his best years are fully ahead of him. And you didn't buy Bruno Guimaraes not to start, so it's like, you know, I know he's replaced Norgard, but in the end, let's be honest, Norgard didn't really play, so we've brought him in, and he's replacing either Zubamendi or Lewis Skelly's minutes. So which one is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be Rice's. So there's something is not going to quite fit here. You know what I mean? In a world, you know, in a way, Lewis Skelly being a young kid is, you know, and that profit and things like that is an easier sale, but it's not an easier sale when he's playing like this. And he's been playing like this ever since he's been rolled into the midfield, and we're talking very few games. So the potential there is massive. Something's not going to sit the way it is sitting by the end of this window. And there's only two midfielders in there that are going to get you really good money, and that's Zubamendi and Lewis Skelly. Because Mourinho's too old to get you good money. I don't think Eze gets you really good money at this point either, because he's not that type of midfielder. He's a bit more. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that play out. But back to absolutely brilliant goal. I thought Kai Havertz led the line fantastically well. But also, I think we should talk about, before we talk about Havertz and we talk about that goal, the second goal. But Solis, what an interesting signing this player is, because he's not particularly fancy. He's in contrast to Madueke, who's all show, you know, dribbling, running, He's much calmer on the ball, but some of the build-up play with Calafiori and the one-on-two touch passing and the simplicity to his game, I thought was so refreshing. And he does. A lot of people say he looks like a young Trossard almost, just very, very smart. I think we've got. Well, I don't know what we've got here, but he might be more than a rotational option, James.
Yeah. Oh God, he's playing next week for me. I know that much.
Yeah.
I know it's pre-season or whatever, but he's got, what was it, 2 goals and something like 5 assists already in all of his games so far. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I didn't know until today, Jack. I've watched the pre-season games, but I think because of the level of opposition and the level of play, he's a two-way player. Yeah, because he don't just work hard. You know, with Trossard, sometimes you'd go, he don't work hard up the other end. He works hard up there, but he was getting involved, helping Calafiori. You know, if Calafiori was a bit too high, he's tucking in, winning the ball back. And there were a few times where he laid some stuff on and he's in behind, but they just didn't get the ball over they just didn't see him, or they went somewhere else. I'm like, really, really intelligent, like you said, player. And I like him a lot. I think the fans are going to really, really warm to this guy this season, because he's special. He's got something, you know, you can see just from early that there is something about you, and you are a very, very, very good player, very talented player. I mean, the second one, the cross from Odegaard is superb into him, and I'm like, he's not the tallest of lads, is he? But he's guided that superbly back across the box. And then Havertz's header's just as good. I know Donnarumma's had a bit of a flapper at it, but, you know, who cares? But, yeah, they're two superb headers. Like, his one across the box there is absolutely brilliant. Really, really clever header.
How many attackers go for goal there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying about he's got quite good clarity in what in how he's not flashy. He doesn't want to be the attention. He don't want to get, but he knows when to give it. He's not a big dribbler from what I see, but he can if he needs to. But he's happy to play the ball off 6 or 7 times before he does it, and that is quite refreshing to see, because we've lacked smart attackers. That's what we've lacked. A lot of people say we've lacked the attributes, the speed, the getting in behind, all this sort of stuff. What we've really lacked is, because we get in the position often enough, we dominate games a lot. What we lack is that clarity when everything's going on, and he seems to have that. He seems to make the right decision at the right time, give the ball at the right moment. I even saw in the second half when Saka come on, and Saka was clean through, and I could tell, I was like, play it as early as you can, and he tried so hard to get it out of his feet to play it early, and he kind of played it into Saka's mid-drift, and it went off into the keeper, and Saka couldn't quite get to it. But I'm like, you can tell he's very aware when things need to be played. Don't take the extra touch. Bum, 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 bum. Very, very different to what we're used to in that attack. And I think it's, at the moment, it's looking like a really, really astute signing for what was 30 million. It's looking really, really clever. I mean, and on the set, we might as well talk about the second goal. I mean, the third goal. The third goal is a picture book goal. But again, that ball from Solis, it's just something that we don't see that often. Typically our wingers are holding that ball a little longer, trying to go to the byline. I love how he played that into chaos. He played it into the area that we don't typically through the lines. But after that, I mean, it's tremendous. It reminded me of Kanu against Deportivo, if you can remember all those years ago. But it's brilliant, isn't it, James?
Great goal. Yeah, that's a great shout as well. That's a great throwback. No, like you said, I mean, again, this is another thing about Bruno coming in. It's clear for all of us to see that we want to play through the lines at a quicker pace. We want the tempo to go up into the attackers this season. That's clear as day, even from everything that I've seen this year, that we want to speed things up a bit in the way that we attack, which I'm all for. And like you said, this guy, he don't mess around. He does not mess around. Calm under where he's, he had a bit of a corridor there to manoeuvre through, but he's gone, no, I'll thread that past him. And then Odegaard, like you said, sat him down and stroked it home. Brilliant goal. I mean, that was the pick of the bunch, but you could easily say all 3 of them today, like I mentioned earlier. Fantastic goals.
Just really good football. All of them.
Yeah, and I mean, we won the league last year, so of course we found it entertaining. But I think we got lambasted a lot worse than what we should have been in terms of how we scored goals and the way we scored goals. But I'm like, if this is an indicator of the kind of football that we're going to play and the kind of goals that we're going to score this season, I don't think anyone could call us boring.
Yeah, no,
I think you're rolling the clock back and going, bloody hell, they might be the most entertaining team to watch.
Well, that's what I've always said about Arteta. I mean, that's what a lot of people say, like Arteta, he's like, Carragher, like Mourinho, and I'm like, you've not watched Arteta. No. What Arteta is great at is he adapts to the situation that's in front of him. So you don't know what his favourite type of football is really, because he will play whatever it takes in order to win. That's what he will do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So when people go, there's no way you can look at Arteta and go, he's a defensive coach. Then what happened in the 22-23 season? Because what he saw was what was open to him at the time, and then people obviously became wise to that, and he had to find another way and adapt again and keep changing, and that's what he is brilliant at. So you don't really, the beauty of Arteta is he can play in many different ways at such a high level. So that is the key to him, and that's why he's so different from the Mourinho type coaches or the Wenger type coaches, because he can do both. He can, whatever the game is calling for, he can do it. You want to go deep block it, he can do it. You want to go, we need to play 500 passes and win a game, he can do it. And that's the thing. Last season we were ravaged with attacking injuries all over the park. Teams were sitting deeper and deeper and deeper against us, and he said, this is the only way we're going to be able to do it. This is and he laid into it, and it worked. So I never anyone that says that they know Arteta's style, this is the Arsenal play very. You've not watched him long enough. Like his uniqueness is the fact that he is able to make each game, very, very different from the last. He can do lots of different things, and the only thing with that is he needs the players at his disposal in order to change that. Last season, a lot of those players weren't, the attacking players he relied upon. So he had to go. He had to go to Plan B, maybe play Plan C. I don't know, but yeah, mate. Like, I thought Solis was great. I love his clarity. I love the way he decides when he doesn't take the extra touches on the ball. Like you said, off the ball, very, very reliable. Defensively, very, very reliable, which is something Arteta always looks for in his wingers. But that's yeah, without doubt, he's probably been the most impressive player in pre-season, to be honest. City, obviously, they had moments, right? City, after going sort of 2-0 up quite early, they had moments where I just wonder what your thoughts were on Mosquera and White. I mean, obviously, a little bit of a concern there because at the moment, which I think they did today, basically Mosquera and White have to play full 90s unless we're going to put a Zubamendi or a Rice back there. Do you know what I mean? Like we're that thin in that area. Or Marley Salmon back there, who's been brilliant as well in pre-season, but he's 16. Let's be honest, that's so young for a defender. So we are short there, but they did very well today. And the one thing I'd say is I still saw a little bit of vulnerability from White, though I thought he handled Dockle for the most part pretty well. But I thought Mosquera was fantastic. I thought he was fantastic, whether he had to deal with Haaland or support White or be the ball-playing centre-back that Saliba is. I thought he was fantastic, and I thought the way Gabriel supported him was really, really good leadership.
Yeah, spot on. That recovery one that he made on Haaland was super. I knew Mosquera was quick, but I didn't know he was that quick. I was like, whoa, hello. I was like, I learned something new about you today. Really, really good recovery. But yeah, no, it's clear as day that's going to be hopefully sorted by next Friday. That player, or at the very least, that player's walking out on the pitch and giving it a, hello everybody, I've signed on Friday. Because you can't. We all love Ben White. All of us love Ben White, but he it ain't going to sustain. That you might have this for 6 weeks, and then something's going to twinge with him, and that's it. And like you said there, pre-season wise for me, from everything that I've seen, and I agree with Arsenal. By the way, their fixtures today. This game was our first proper. They didn't put this game as a pre-season game. They put it as a proper match. So I'm like, yeah, I like that. It's a serious match. It ain't pre-season. And for me, Zolis, Odegaard, Salmon have been the best three that I've seen in all the pre-season of all of our players. I think they've been exceptional. But it's such and I think this kid can take that pressure. I do with Salmon. I really do. But I'm like, you are right to chuck a 16-year-old in the defending champions.
Yeah.
Either as a right back or as a centre back. Well, it could, but at the same point, I'm like, that is. You talk about baptisms of fire. That is madness. Yeah.
I mean, you think about the what was Saliba, 18, 19 when we loaned him back to France?
Yeah.
And he was, potentially, maybe Arteta didn't know it at the time, but he potentially much more, even highly sought after than maybe Salmon is. And I think it's clear in pre-season Salmon's more of a centre-back than he is a right-back as well. I like the fact that we've been giving him centre-back minutes.
I think it was Melvin, funny enough, another friend of the show, he put on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, the other day, and he said, is Marley Salmon at 16 better than Saliba is at 16 or was at 16? And I said to him, well, yeah. I said Saliba didn't make any first. I said, like you said that. I said Saliba didn't make first team appearances till he was 18, 19. Yeah.
But in terms of physical development, I don't know. I can't really remember what he looked like, Saliba, but I'm guessing he was more developed than Salmon.
Oh, God.
Salmon looks like he's got a bit of a ways to go, Tall, but he's got to fill out a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a lot more slender player than Saliba is.
Yeah. And he probably gets a loan maybe within the next 12 to 18 months. I expect Salmon. I probably, maybe not. Maybe just keep him around the group.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. However, I do think that they see such a long-term future for him that they're like, nah, keep him with, learn off Timber, learn off Saliba, learn off Gabriel. Well, I'm like, best back five in the league. So what better, there's no real education, well, better education, I guess, than playing minutes and playing games.
Yeah.
But at the same point, it's like, well, you can learn quite a lot off the best back five in potentially Europe. So,
yeah.
You know, because I think even more than just the league, I think we got the best defence when they're all fully fit and they're all, they're going. Yeah, I think we're the best back five.
You saw that in the Champions League final. I don't know why people keep rewriting it. I'm like, well, the reason we lost the Champions League final was basically because we didn't have our starting right back. And as good as Mascara is, he's also not a right back. So, and he did well. He did very well. But we win that game. And they didn't have a shot on target until the penalty. So we were on our last legs basically. They and played for 2 months. Let's be honest about what we saw. You know, this is a team.
And that's another point that I was going to make to you about when you're saying about Zubimendi and stuff. Now, I look at how PSG, and of course it's an inferior league. I'm like, but I do look at it and think to myself, some of these games where you went with Rice all the time, and you went with Zubimendi all the time or whatever last season, could you, and Odegaard and whatever, could you this year, like they do, they've got Ruiz, Neves, and who's the other guy that's in there? I know Zaire Emery's their young one that they play, but who's that? Vitinha. That's it. But yeah, they don't bring Vitinha and all them out until about the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and they're threat. I'm like, if we can have something at Arsenal where it's like, do you know what? A couple of these league games, Rice, you are, because he wants to play all the time, but he's going to be picked. He's starting every game for England. Bruno's probably going to start every game for Brazil. So Zubimendi don't always start for Spain. So if you can figure out way there to be like, have them on the bench, don't completely omit them from the squad, but can we get to a level where we can bring Rice on 60 minutes or a Bruno if we need to? And that's where you give Miles the minutes that people don't think he's going to get, because he's good enough to start. But then I look at it and go, do you play a Miles as a Zubimendi? He loves his stature. He's got to have a Mikel Arteta's got to have a 6 foot player in there. So that's the only thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's why Marino's there, isn't it, as well? But
but it's an incredibly small midfield without one of
Bruno or Rice. Yeah. I see what you mean. I know, and he's got to get but at the same time, like you said, I mean, we're getting close to transfers, but it's about the balance, but also we know that he generally likes multifaceted players that can play in more than one position. So if you've got I just look at it and I'm like, if you've got a 19-year-old that can do that, God knows what he can do in a year or two. Like it's just unpredictable, but it's not getting worse, it's only getting better. So you look at it and you go, well, that really expands the size of that midfield in a way, because there's 2 roles for each player to be able to fill. And we already know Marino, and the reason we're not talking about Marino as maybe being a sell option, one, his age, he's the oldest player in the squad, I believe, but also he's got a lot of different roles that he can fall into. So even though Marino won't start much, when there's injuries, he will play a lot, because he can play the left 8, the right 8, the second striker, the strike, and Zubimendi can't do that. So if you're limited to one role, you have to be the best in that role, like Saliba or Odegaard. They're the only players we've got in our squad that limit to one role. And the reason they play all the time is because they're the best in that role. But Zubimendi, if you're limited to the 6, you better be the best in the 6. And at the moment, there's an argument that he might not be in the top 2. So that's where I'm like, I was watching it today and I'm like, I love Zubimendi.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Like I love Zubimendi, but I can't deny what I'm seeing. I can't deny what I'm seeing.
And you make a great point about Marino as well, and that goes back to, I remember when we used to sit on here and you used to talk to me about Trossard and the subs that you were like, James, along with Kanu, he's one of the best subs in the league in terms of when he comes on and he scores. I'm like, Mikel Marino now could be the best 12th man at our club.
And we need that because we've lost Trossard and we've lost Martinelli. Badly. And Trossard and Martinelli are very good from the bench. That is one thing they are. Yeah,
but I'm like, you got a game where it's a bit, like Newcastle away, prime example, last season. Brilliant match that was, but got him off the bench and we're just like ping the ball into the box because he's a top tier header of the ball or finish it. Like what Spain were doing in the World Cup. They were like, bring him on, he'll bail us out, and he does it. That's him. That's him, and he won't mind that.
He loves that role.
Yeah, it's very rare you get players that are happy to sit on the bench.
That's exactly it.
And he's content.
Exactly
he is content. So yeah, definitely. Why would you sell him? Why would you sell him? Because it's very rare you get someone who's as clinical as that, but he's happy being parked on his backside for the majority of the season. So yeah, I wouldn't want Marino going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
at the moment anyway.
What do you take? Obviously, 3-0 up. Absolutely laughing. We're doing the LAs. We're doing the Poznan in the crowd. Just bantering off City fans like we did towards the end of last season. Really, just continue it on. But then obviously we make the subs. I did find some of the subs quite interesting, James. I mean, Havertz fit again, led the line really, really well. Gyökeres and Zubimendi get 15 minutes apiece. Eze gets even less. And Marino doesn't get any, in fairness. But again, I think Marino knows his role within the squad and is comfortable with it. And there's a lot of leadership that goes on with Marino. Like, there was talk even when he was out injured about how much of a leader he was around the group. There's a lot of factors away from what you see on the pitch that make Marino very, very, very valuable. I think we're seeing that. I think there was some questions to the players about coaches within the group, and he was one of the first names. Almost like a young Arteta was. Like that sort of stuff. There's a lot of value in that. So I don't really see that as a player on the table for a sellable player, even though he doesn't start in almost everyone's first 11. But Zubimendi, James, something has to fall out with this attack at some point. Are we going to make that attacking signing? Brilliant result today. Don't know what to lead into it, but some of the minutes I'm curious about. You love Gyökeres, right? And he did fantastic for us last season. And what I love about Gyökeres more than actually what he does is I love his relationship with Havertz. I think that is so hard to find, where two players are basically vying for the same position and they seem to be best of friends off the pitch. And a lot of people might not say that's important, but I'm like, it's pretty flipping rare, and that, I think there is quite a lot of value to that. Look at Calafiori to say, they asked him about Hincapié, he said, don't see it as a battle, he's one of my best friends, with different players, whatever the manager wants to do, I'm very happy with it. That kind of relationship, the Madueke Saka sort of stuff, that is hard to find. So the likelihood is, I think, is that Gyökeres and Havertz, we stick with that, and the area to strengthen is on the left wing. The problem, James, is a lot of the left wing options that we wanted are off the table. So I think we're getting one attacker in, but who the hell that is and where their most comfortable position is really, really hard to describe. But there is no doubt that Martinelli being removed from the squad, Trossard going, all that sort of stuff indicates that probably we're edging towards finding an upgrade in that left side. But who that is, James, and how we do it, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been, waxing lyrical about him. How's Solis going to feel thinking, I come here thinking I'm going to start I didn't come here just to be a bit part player. Well, obviously he probably knew they're going to sign some left winger or something. If Vinicius come in, I'm holding bench, aren't I? Right. But the way that he's playing and how well he's been doing, and I know it's pre-season and today, and what have you, Community Shield, people will say what they say, but I don't think we're going to have this attacker in by next week, Jack. Now, no. You can stand here and say, James, I think we will. I don't. No. But if we play Coventry next week and he gets another goal or an assist, maybe even 2 assists again, bit harsh to just bump him just by, we got a shiny new face coming in instead, pal. I think he wouldn't moan, but I'm like, how can you drop him on the form that he's on? Regardless of who it is we sign, the form that he's in at the moment, I ain't dropping him. And I'm not trying to say that Solis is one of the best left wingers in the world purely based on pre-season games and a Community Shield. But you got to go with the eye test, mate, and he's passing it with flying colours. Yeah. So, it's got to be someone of some note, and even then, still, I think there was the obsession of it has to be a name after Vinicius fouled. I don't think you need that now. I don't think the name...
It's very hard to get now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They're all gone.
Yeah.
And if they were available, then other teams would have sacked them up by now, or they're tied down on big contracts, so you're not going to get them. You know, anyone that you sign for the left wing now will be inferior to some people's eyes to what Vinicius was. It just is. Mm-hmm. But for me now, I'm like, yeah, but I'm not playing that sort of, you know, I want Arsenal to win. You know, we could go out and buy someone that is a name and he turns out to be absolutely trash. So for me, I'm like, just what player do you think will be? And it goes to this whole, and I've seen a lot of stuff for Berta. And I do agree that he's not had as good a summer as he had last season. But the whole thing that we hear about him is that he does this, you know, he spins the plates. And I'm like, well, what? Was it just that's Vinicius and that's it then?
Yeah, something's not adding up.
I'm like, who was next? Who was next in the chain?
Something's not adding up. Well, I assume Rodgers was one that we felt we could wait on. And no one would, you know, I think we thought we had the agreement with Rodgers and we could wait on it. And clearly we didn't. Because if we did, it wouldn't have mattered if Chelsea offered 150 million, because Rodgers would have done what Declan Rice did, which is, well, I'm going to Arsenal, so you're going to have to make an agreement with them. You know what I mean? And that's what we believed happened. But what Rice has is so rare, let's be honest, because when you're getting offered ridiculous money from doped clubs and, you know, people they don't care. Rice wanted to come to Arsenal. He was convinced by Arsenal, convinced by Mikel Arteta.
We were very lucky. We were very lucky as well in that he didn't want to leave London.
Yeah.
What would have been interesting, Jack, is if that was Chelsea and Arsenal going back and forth for him. Because it might not have been, Declan Rice might not have been an Arsenal player. Because
he was already at Chelsea.
Well, his whole him and his family, a big, you know, the Chelsea supporting family. He was at Chelsea as a kid, etc., etc. So, yeah, that would have been the interesting one. Would have been, would we have won that battle then if it was a Chelsea? But yeah, the City, back then I was like, he ain't up in sticks with a young family and everything. He ain't doing that. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It really is. But again, and we know Mikel Arteta and we joke and we have a laugh about it, but our best asset is how hard we are to, you know, we might, again, like you were saying there, we might not have played the best football, but we were the hardest to beat. Mm-hmm. And he prides himself on the fact that we're hard to beat. So he's going to go, how do I make myself hard to beat? I shore up my defence even more. I make my defence even more impenetrable. That's
one area we have to do.
Yeah.
I think, James, we've been linked in the last days to Konza, mildly to Koundé, Kwanzaa from Leverkusen, strongly.
Yeah, Trent the other day, which was a mental one.
Yeah, I think there was I'm like,
that's never happening because you got to be able to defend for Arsenal. I'm sorry. Just because you can cross a ball and you got a good free kick and corner, you ain't getting away with that at a right back at Arsenal. You got to have some. Yeah, you got to have a bit of a defensive nous about you. Yeah,
exactly. The weird thing with this, James, this is where I fall on, and I don't think everyone agrees with me, but Mosquera's a top player. We saw that today. He's a top player. So let's say you bring Gerald Kwanzaa in at 23. I think it muddies the waters for Mosquera a little bit, because then what you're saying is, well, we're bringing in another young centre-back who's basically positionally very similar to you. And unless we're converting you to a left centre-back backup, I think it muddies the waters when Saliba's back for what Mosquera's role is. Do you know what I mean? If you bring an Ezri Konsa in, who's 28, it does a little bit of what we've done to Lewis Skelly in midfield to Mosquera at centre-back. So it's cleaner to me, because you're saying, well, this guy's got 5-6 years Premier League experience on you, Mosquera. So if he's going to play ahead of you, that's why. Yeah, you're going to filter over to the left centre-back a little bit more, you know, but your time's coming. Your time's coming, because this guy is there to play a bit more now, but your time's coming in a year or two. You know what I mean? But and that's cleaner to me. So I think I definitely favour Konsa over Kwanzaa, irrespective of the fee, to be honest, because I think he'll plug and play quicker. I'm not actually convinced Gerald Kwanzaa is going to be more mistake-free than Mosquera. I don't think he will be. I'm not convinced he will be. I've watched Gerald Kwanzaa quite a lot. He's quite rash at times. We saw it in the World Cup, and I saw it for Liverpool. I know he's been in the Bundesliga and done well for a year, but different level entirely to me. I mean, look at some of the Bundesliga pre-season scores to make your mind up for that one. But you know, like, so for me, that Koundé would be my choice over all of them, because Koundé, I think, muddies the waters the least from Mascara, because when Saliba comes back, you say to Koundé, well, now you're going to be a bit more of a right-back lad. And I don't think Koundé loves being a right-back at the age of 27, but I think if he's going to love it anywhere, he'll love it being alongside the best centre-back in the world that's also his countryman, that he does it for his country. So for me, even if the wage is ludicrous for Koundé, it allows a white sale, and none of these other ones that I've just mentioned allow a white sale. Konsa doesn't allow. He's played centre back. He's played right back 6 times last season. Gerald Konsa played centre back, right back 4 times last season. Konsa 6. They're not right backs. They're centre backs that can cover right back in an emergency. The only ones that's got an equal split is Koundé. He's got an equal split between centre back and right back minutes in a ridiculously high line Hansi Flick system where you're getting exposed every 5 minutes. Like, for me, I'd go Koundé all day, and I don't really, I think it's that hard to judge it. But it doesn't matter what we think. What do you think, and what do you think we'll do? Because you think we'll sign someone by Friday.
Yeah, I think we're going to, and we need to. Sadly, as much as I want attackers, Jack, and we spent a whole summer podcast talking about attackers. We had defenders in there, of course, because we're Arsenal. We know we're going to sign defenders and a goalkeeper. But no, we did. We spent nearly 40, maybe 50 minutes of that podcast talking about wingers and forwards. So, I don't necessarily think both of them are very good players. That's Konsa and Kwanzaa. I don't look at them and go, "Oh, they're amazing." I don't. And that. I'm not one of these people that just watch Arsenal and Arsenal only. I consume as much football around the world as I can. Obviously, I got to try and have a life as well. So there's some stuff that I don't touch. I can't be that lonely
Watching
and sad.
Belgium league minutes for solace.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the football these days is behind a paywall, and I know there's ways around paywalls, but I'm not even using that way to watch this. That's too far.
Legitimate. Just like Arsenal.
It's like when Solis was being linked and people were like, "Oh yeah, I watched about 30 of these games." Like I went, "Oh, what did you watch that on the Hubble?" Like, where were you getting that then?
They didn't.
What channel's the Belgian league on over in the UK, mate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hand of Arsenal saying he's been watching for 2 years when he's never.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, you're not even using your Fire Stick for that, mate. I'm like, come on, cut the slack. You're lying. But yeah, I think, like you said there, the Konsa one's better from the age perspective, but also, and again, the Romero link, Jack. All of our heads were gone. All of our heads were gone. But it was clear that we want somebody that's comfortable playing with the ball at his feet. I want a better defender. My head would be, get me someone who could defend. But I know how Mikel thinks, I know how the club thinks, and they're like, we need somebody that's as good with the ball at his feet and is as progressive, because Saliba is, and I'm not saying Gabriel is bad on the, but he's not. Gabriel is not, dreadful on the ball at all. But Saliba's the one who brings it out. Saliba can run from one box to the other without getting tackled and get a shot away. We've seen that before. So, he wants someone that can, that's of stature. And also, I know you're saying there about your Koundé, and the wages are so high, mate. That's what makes that deal impossible.
But if you lost the white wage,
I know.
It's easy to say that.
Yeah.
Because White's on 150 grand a week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, you're spot on. It's just that's what but I do think that play, when we were talking about it, and we said it, didn't we, when we were talking about it in the summer, I went, one of those defenders is going to be homegrown. And that's what I think. I think it's going to be someone who's English.
Seems to be the identification.
I don't know, before, obviously, it's become that's a no-go area. That and it's Mike's guy at Chelsea, in it, Achampong.
Yeah,
I'm probably butchering the name, but that was another one that was very heavy link. After Livramento went down, that Achampong, again, I'm probably butchering.
He's right back more than a centre back.
Oh god, yeah. But I'm like,
which I'm okay with. But
his link was huge, because they he was getting spoken about a hell of a lot when Livramento went down. So It's clear Chelsea do not want to sell. If they're going to sell him, they do not want to sell him to us.
There's a lot of talk about him going to Coventry on loan.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with.
Which is interesting.
I look at Jed Spence. What was it? 30 million into Milan. You're telling me Arsenal wouldn't have been in for him if he, there was no way them lot were going to sell to us. But you can't tell me Arsenal would have been all over Jed. If Jed Spence played for anyone else in the league and was available for 30 million quid, he'd be in an Arsenal shirt now.
Yeah.
It was only because he plays for them lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the hard part with this is you're looking for a centre-back that can keep us to the level for the next 6 months, but then can take a back seat after that. And that's not easy, but we're quite young back there. This is my issue with going young. We're not, other than Gabriel, who's 28, we're pretty young. Everyone's before their prime back there. Even Calafiori and Cappier, what are they, 23, 24? So, Timber's 24, Saliba's 24.
And I feel bad, Jack, because I should have all these numbers to hand in my head like I normally do. But I think it's the last 2 or 3 seasons, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've played below 58 games in the last 2 or so years. Well, that's it. I'm like, and again, some of the times where we've not got to the promised lands that we've wanted to get to, we've all sat here and gone, he burns all these players. That there were players there that, did he really have to play that game? Did he really have to play that game? You've got someone in a concert who's 28 years old. He knows the Prem or if we get deep into the Carabao and the FA Cup, which I want us to do, me, you and Neil, Mike, Anthony, even when he comes on and what have you, none of us diminish any cup that we're in. None of us. No. If we were in a raffle, we want to win that. Yeah. So coin toss, we want to win that. So, I'm like, balance it as much. I mean, the squad now is too big. Yeah. And Arteta is not, it's not like your Wenger and all that days where Wenger had a 25 to 26 man squad. You basically had 2-2-2-2-2, maybe even 3-3-3 in every role. Arteta is the same as Pep Guardiola. He has about 20, he has between 19 that he really trusts, or at a push, he's got about 21. Yeah.
And we're massive back there. I mean, we've just got so many players, even like the likes of Vieira and Nelson and Jesus that can't even get off the books.
No, there's too many. It don't fit. No. And again, we can sit here and we can moan all we want about, bloody hell, Berta, bloody hell, you're not buying any player, Do you not think he's looking at it? They have that board, didn't they? We've seen it on the Amazon documentary. They have that board with everybody in their positions behind them and their names.
Yep.
I don't know how they sit down on the chairs, because this must be like that now, don't they? I'm like, there's too many. It don't fit. It don't work. It don't go. It don't go.
Not at all.
So
not at all.
Yeah. And again, like I mentioned at the start of the show, and hopefully, we've got very good listeners and viewers anyway. They're creme de la creme. They're quite clued up, bless them. They know what they're talking about, and they understand someone who a lot of people like has to go. And I go back, though, to what you said to me the other day, and I was like, that's a great point when you voice noted me. It's nice to win a league and not have your best player. I remember you saying to me the other day.
Massive. It's massive.
Not Vieira, sorry, Anelka. You got a Pierre Petit, sorry. Overmont. Yeah, you're all gone within, such a short space. That's
something that doesn't get talked about. We're all moaning about the transfer window and the lack of, and me and you are just, we expect a lot in this transfer window, but this is the first time we've won a title, and this is what they should have said on that silly little overlap score when Jamie Carragher tried to, I believe, bait that. I'm not going to moan about that Arsenal fan. I don't know who he is, but bait him, I think, into kind of. You didn't get Vinny, did you?
You can bait him because everybody else has. So.
Yeah, exactly.
He does a very good job himself of making himself look silly, Jack. So it's not.
Yeah, that's the problem, and they like to call those people back on the overlap. It seems in all fan bases.
Yes.
But really, what you should have said was it's very clear that typically what happens with Real Madrid is they're coming after our best players, and this was the exact opposite. Yeah, we didn't get him, but what a change in which we've won the title. None of our players, top players, by the way, let's not act like we haven't got them, we've got them, are being linked to any of these massive, gigantic Galactico-type clubs, but we're actually going after their players, which is That is quite a big turn, actually. Even if we didn't end up getting them, that is quite a big turn. And you know, there's no shame in not getting Real Madrid's best player or second best player. You know, and Jamie Carragher knows full well.
That's the balance, and that's the balance, isn't it? That like I keep talking about, because you have got some sections of our fan base that are like, well, I don't really mind if we don't get that attacker because we've shown progress just by going to speak to it. I'm like, no. I'm like, that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me. That's where I gave you the example. That's where I gave you the example the other day about Sydney Sweeney. And I'm like, oh, yeah, she was in the club the other night. Oh, right. Yeah, well, I was speaking to her. Oh, get her number, James. No, but I chatted to her.
Yeah, was the point.
Well done, well done, mate. Exactly. Yeah. We can all everyone could go have a word with her. Everyone could chat to her.
Yeah. It means nothing if you don't.
Exactly. And I'm like, what? I should be proud that Arsenal were on a phone to his agent whilst his agent was going, I've got Arsenal on here. We're going to I'll get you your money out of Real Madrid, mate. I've got Arsenal on strings here. You know, you turn up late in your Bugatti to training. You know, they were saying, weren't they, when they were filming it, they were like, oh, he didn't arrive on time. Or he's like, be a bit late for training, son. All the cameras are there, boy. We'll get you this kind, you know. Yeah. The more and more this goes, the more the zeros are on that contract. You know? I think is it the first time ever in Real Madrid history they've given a player his full image rights?
Yeah, I mean, you know, time will tell on it.
Yeah,
I think, I mean, this will combust within 12 to 18 months under Mourinho anyway, irrespective of what Vinny's done.
He's never getting on with him for a year.
No, someone's falling out with him big time. Yeah, one of these big guys, Mbappe, Bellingham. I don't think it'll be Bellingham.
He signed it knowing we're going to arrest you. We're going to get together as a group, go to Florentino or whatever his name is, and go bin him off.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got no
what happens at every other club he goes to. In the end, a nucleus of them get together and they go, get him out the fucking door, mate. He's doing us in.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Yeah. And like me and you, I didn't think we were going to get Vinny. I never said we were going to get Vinny. I wasn't particularly optimistic on it at all. And I've got no problem with the intention of trying to. But once you don't get them, you can't, you especially as this is a position, let's be honest, we've been looking to upgrade for about 3 to 4 years and we've not done it. From the Mudryk and the Williams bid.
I'm glad you said that, Jack, because I'm like, this ain't just a this year problem.
No, it's not. It'd be different if you could even argue that with a centre mid when we were going after Bruno. Oh, do we need it? You know, because we got Zubimendi last year. That's a better argument. The left wing, and to act like, oh, well, hold on a minute, there's no one out. Well, hold on a minute. We were begging for Mudryk and Nico Williams 4 years ago, and we said that there's no one out there instead of them, so let's not move now. So let's not act like we're only, you know, dealing with the elite of elites. We need someone that is better than Martinelli, right? Ideally, they can cover the attributes that Martinelli really has, which is a great attitude. I personally will always love Martinelli. He's got great character, great attitude. His work off the ball, one of the best defensive wingers, I think, still in the league. You know, and the pace in transition. If we can get all those three things, but with output, that's what we need. We don't need Vinny Jr. It would have been great, but we need someone that can take us, because Martinelli's gone stale for a couple of years, and we know this by the amount of minutes he had. He started 11 Premier League games last season and he was fully fit for the whole season. So actions speak louder than words. Oh, desperate. Oh, we really wish he was in the squad today. No, you don't. We want to sell him. We know we want to sell him. And we want to try to get someone better than him. Ideally, that's got all those attributes, but then can take us in terms of output. And I still think that's possible this window. Who that is, there's a lot of options that we could talk about non-stop. There's no real links for us to talk about it, so there's no real point in doing it. But we've got to be able to upgrade that. And that's the area we need to do. Ideally, James, me and you predicted 2 top attackers this window. So let's be honest. I mean, 1 is the bare minimum. And that's not anything against Solis, but in terms of established purchase, Solis has been bought in as someone that we believe can reach that level, but he's coming from an inferior league, and let's be honest, it's a little bit of a risk at this point. You don't know yet. You know, we believe it. We believe it's been a really good scouting department thing, and he looks great. But again, it's a big jump up. There's no going, he's done this already. He's going to plug and play, bosh. So, and that's what we need, and we have to be able to do that, James. Like whichever which way, and if it means selling 1 or 2 that we're not absolutely happy with, then so be it. I think someone's coming in for Martinelli at that price, irrespective of the wage. I cannot reason why someone wouldn't come in from the top 5 leagues at a 38-40 million price, irrespective of that wage. He had a relatively average season in the Premier League, but he did very well in the Champions League. And he's got a lot of attributes that people, and it's still his best years ahead of him. There's a lot of teams that should be looking out there. 43 million for Garnacho this window. Savinho's going to go for 70 million. Come on. We can get that for Martinelli from a top 5 league. We've got to be able to, haven't we?
Yeah, and I mean, you're seeing it now in that you don't want to, there was a link earlier in the window about Newcastle, and he said he didn't want to play for another club in England. Like you said there, respect that, respect the attitude.
Respect it, yeah.
The Saudi clubs have been knocking for nearly 2 seasons. He's like, I'm young. I think I don't want to go to an inferior league. The Turkish one, exactly the same. He's like, I like that he backs himself as a player. I do like that about him. But you're spot on, because I'm like, again, there's the small links with Roma and the other ones with, funny enough, Napoli as well with the Jesus one. And I look at it and I go, you will absolutely dominate that Italian league.
Yeah. The way at speed that moves at, he'd be mental in that league. Yeah. He'll be mental.
And like you said there, in terms of being a two-way player, the managers in Italy will love him because he works just as hard the other way as he does going forward. So, because they're all defensive. You've got to be defensively sound in the Italian league. You don't get away with being shoddy in defence over there.
We're selling someone to Napoli, either him or Jesus.
Yeah.
I've got to believe it, because we've got that scout that came from Napoli.
Was Jesus even there today? Because obviously Martinelli went with the club and he had the shirt on and his tracksuit and everything. And
Did he?
Was part of, but I didn't see Jesus at the. I mean, I'm not that I was looking.
I didn't see either of them, so I wouldn't know. But
I saw Martinelli when I was watching it, but I didn't see Jesus. So I'm like, maybe he did, and I didn't notice. But he's got he's dyed his hair peroxide blonde at the moment, isn't he, Jesus? So he's not like to this.
It's a perfect moment to sell him.
Yeah.
Blaming it. But yeah, look, we've got to be a little bit more. We have to make sales. I mean, I think our 100 million recoupment this summer was the minimum we should be getting, and we're not close to that. So we need to. We had Norgard and Trossard, and I think we're sitting about 30 million barely, not even that. So. Yeah. We've got to get some movement on, right? Especially if the squad is this impacted and we can't make a signing because of it. Bertas, you got to start earning your money here, mate, and having a real busy next week or two, haven't you? Because otherwise we're not going to have time to make the signings.
And that was the thing. That's the thing as well, Jack. Is like when that Vinicius stuff was going on, I was like, well, what, are we just tunnel focused on that? Like, everyone tells me about we spin all these multiple plates and we do, he's never not off the phone. He's always working and his teams always work. I'm like, well, does that stop sales? Are we just like, we're doing this, we're doing one thing and one thing only. We're going to try and convince Vinicius to come here, forget about everything else. No, you do both.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't take Berta as this guy, because I've seen people saying fraud and clan and all this, and which is ridiculous because he helped us win the title last year with how proactive he was in the market. Whether you like them players or not, he done what he needed. Yeah, he done what he needed to do, and those signings helped us do everything that we talked about earlier in the show and what have you. So I don't like this where he's being called a fraud and a clown and all this other business. But I'm like, he clearly delegates. He clearly, you can see him. Look at when he was having a ding dong with Simeone and all that when he was on the pitch at the end of the game last. This is a guy that backs himself. So I cannot in my head believe that they were just like, it's Vinicius and we're doing nothing. But I'm like, why did that prevent the sales? You're meant to have all these contacts and know all these people. And I'm like, what, you can't get on the phone going, come on, mate, one of you must want,
Yeah. Yeah, I know, it's not quite adding up. And we hope the picture becomes a lot more clear in the next week. So if you had to predict it, James, what would your predictions for Coventry? Obviously, fantastic performance today. Odegaard massively deserving of the man of the match. Though I do think Lewis Skelly probably had a say in it at the 45-minute mark, but then Odegaard really took over. But they were both fantastic, I thought. But from 1 to 11, really, we were brilliant. What if you had to predict it? Obviously, we did a transfer window pod, and then the club went and did whatever they're going to do. Who would you say we're going to get? I think we'll get one defender and one attacker. I don't think we'll do two. I can't see the outgoings to do two, sadly. But if you had to predict it now, given the fact that a lot of the movements that we thought might happen either have been ruled out, like Krupi with a foot injury and Rodgers going to Chelsea. What would you predict for the right centre back and the attacker? Because we don't have to say it's left winger, just say attacker.
People are going to want me to do names, aren't they? So I've got to really rack my brain here because they're going to press me for names. I think that it will probably be Konsa from Villa.
I probably agree with you.
I think we'll try and find a way there to get that done. Clearly something's going on because the player himself, he hasn't returned. And like I said to you before the show began, there was a thing about how him, Watkins and Martinez all seem to be done.
Back.
Yeah. And they don't think they're coming back. A lot of the Villa fans and a lot of the Villa
They played yesterday as well, didn't they, Villa, in a friendly?
Right.
Yeah, they did. They played.
I don't think any of them played then. If they did,
let me have a quick look. They played Mönchengladbach yesterday. Mm-hmm. All I see is an overview for it. I can't see. Let's see if I can find the lineup. But carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, I can see it. I can try and grab the lineup as well.
Yeah, but I'm looking it up on Yahoo.
Yeah, and then in terms of this winger or the forward or what have you. I think that it's probably
going to be hard one.
It's probably going to be
really hard.
I think it's probably going to be someone from within the league again, and I don't know if they're going to be homegrown or not. I don't know if I'm looking at it going, "This is screaming Rashford," because he's left-footed. So I don't think he wants two left-footers on each wing, Jack. I don't think he wants it. So I think it's going to be a right. I think it's going to be a right-footed player
for sure. Yeah.
So for me, of all the ones that have been linked that are in our league domestically, I like Ndiaye at Everton, Jack.
Yeah, I thought you might say.
I like Iliman Ndiaye. Mm-hmm. I think he's a good player, and I don't think he's going to be that pricey. I think if you shift, you get.
Some people were saying 100 million.
No.
The hard part with Ndiaye,
that's mad, mate.
This is where I get really. I start thinking a little bit about Arteta, right? And I look at Solis, and I think, okay, you're pretty diminutive, right? And I always thought we'd get Rodgers based on his quality, but also because he was 6'2", he can do a little bit of false 90 role if needed. But he's got a little bit of stature, and we've got that on the right, haven't we? Even though Madueke is not particularly good in the air, he's 6 foot, and Saka, and I looked at it and I was like, I think he's going to want that balance, and that's where I kept going there with it. And I've got three. I'm definitely playing my cards here because I haven't got a clue, but I've got 3 names that I would go with that I think could be possible. One is that Yildiz, because I didn't realise till recently, but he's 6'2", that Yildiz.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And I am looking at the height, but then his stats are very good. I know there's a lot of talk about him not wanting to leave Juve, but they're not even in the Champions League. I think that would surely mean that,
Jack, if he's a possibility, you got to go and do it. I rate him that highly.
Right, so you like him a lot.
Tremendous player. Oh, he's a great player.
Okay, and there's been talk about knee stuff, but I've looked into that, and he's got patellar tendinopathy. I mean, patellar tendinopathy is like 1 in 3 players have patellar tendinopathy, probably, okay? This is not like people saying, he's got long-term knee problems. That is not long-term knee problems, okay? Patellar tendinopathy, Odegaard suffered from patellar tendinopathy since he was 17, right? There's reports on it. Like, this is something, you got to understand, this is like a chronic thing, like think similar to like shin splints and things like that. This is something that you can definitely work with, and, wouldn't be a major concern physically, and he's played a lot of games over the last couple of years, Yildiz. So he'd be on my top. The other one, because of previous links, me and you, is Williams. I don't want that deal really, but he's got to be on the list because of previous links. Got to be, right? And there was a third one. I think my third one was probably what you said, which was Ndiaye, but the height thing threw me a little bit on that one. Oh no, actually, my third one was Barcola, just simply because I thought, again, stature, speed. Best years ahead of him, and and has the ability to play probably not just on the left side. I think he's mainly a left winger, but I'm guessing he's fulfilled other roles along that front three, being in a PSG system. Those would be my three that I would watch. Those would be my three that I would watch for the front line, because and none of them within the league
for Liverpool.
Yeah, and I think Liverpool
that you know,
at any point, because they love
and all that. Yeah, but they were saying that was done weeks ago.
Yeah,
and it's still ain't, you know. So I'm like, that can't all be as rosy as they think it is. Because I work with a ton of Liverpool fans, and I sadly know a ton of Liverpool fans, annoyingly. And they all told, you know, they're all convinced that he's coming in there and, you know, he's going to change their world. You know, he's going to win them the title. That's some of the stuff that I've heard from them. So yeah, but I said to him, I went, if we come in there, and they went, no, we got Jeff Bezos now. You know, ain't that funny? The most left-wing socialist club in the country. Yeah, founded by
capitalist communists, apparently.
Yeah, founded by a Tory. And now got one of the world's richest men as part of their ownership group. But you know, no, we're socialist.
Offended by everything, ashamed enough.
Yeah, all right, Liverpool.
Just put it around the stadium, shouldn't they? Really, at this point, it's embarrassing, isn't it? But out of all of those, from what you've told me and what I've watched, in fairness, but it's not as much as you. I definitely haven't. But I like the look of that Yildiz. I think there's something about that player, and he's 21. Lots of potential winning. Obviously, from everything we've read, he doesn't really, want to move. But I think if you're offering Juve anything above 85 million with the current state they're in, I mean, you tell me. There's some Italian teams that are really flashing the cash. Juve aren't particularly one of them, I don't think, at this point, because they're not in the Champions League. They're not getting Champions League money. So I know that's the player, that's their star player, that's the one they don't. But I think if you're offering anything above 85, 90 million, you've got to bring him to the table on it.
He'll take it.
It just feels like we're going to do a big deal. If you had to predict last one, if you had to predict a big sale, that is not Louis. I think Lewis Skelly's off the table.
Same.
I didn't think it before this game necessarily, but you can't sell him. So who's the big sale? Because we can all probably agree that Martinelli isn't the big sale, right? So unless you do like Martinelli, Ranieri, White, that would cover maybe the big sale. But unless you're doing all three of those, you're not getting the big sale money.
Well, Jack, I said to people when we did our transfer pod that those links, this was now, remember, that was before Cucurella was signed by Real Madrid. And they were
You said Calafiori.
They were all over Calafiori. And I was like, that could happen, Yeah. And they really wanted Rodri. And they clearly can't get him. Xabi Alonso and the Real Madrid hierarchy wanted Zubimendi then. And, and
if they lose to Tchouaméni,
Jose had Kante when he was at Fenerbahce, and I could see him going, I don't mind having a smaller stature, sort of, terrier-esque number 6 for me. And plus, it's in Spain. It's not as physical. Yeah. It's not as hard, yards as the Prem is. So it would not shock me if
Makelele, didn't he?
Yeah. And, there was some stuff that was coming out towards the end of the season about Zubimendi being homesick anyway. I know that was very little, that someone who's, trying to stir the pot here or create a little bit of something. But I look at him and I think he's been brilliant for us. He has, and he scored some great goals and everything. But I truly believe if Zubimendi weren't, I can't see it. Would I say that Zubimendi will be an Arsenal player next season? If we're talking again, well, hopefully we will, because I love talking to you, Jack. But if we're having this convo next year, he'd be in my list to go.
Yeah, and the problem is if he's in your list next year, because he's played 1,000 minutes this year, then the fee's not there anymore. Yeah, we know that already, don't we? Yeah. So it's like when Ramsdale, we gave the contracts out. We were like a year before that, probably get 35 million for him, but then you
like you were saying there about the size and the amount of money we're spending and how you got to recoup. You said the minimum is to get 100 million back. Who's a player out of all that we've got there that we've been talking about? Now you might get 18 to 20 for Jesus from Napoli. You might get 35
to with.
Yeah, you might get 35 to 40 for Martinelli.
You need,
and you're going to get 35 or so for Nwaneri.
Which might be, but it could be a loan obligation one.
Yeah, yeah,
which means it's not till next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but Zubimendi would get you 65 to 70 now, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would. I think he would. I think
he's under contract.
Yeah, towards the end of this window, he would.
World Cup winner. I know he didn't. I know he's only come off the bench and what have you. But I'm like, he is Zuba out of all of our sellable assets at the moment, and one that you would probably go, not really. I don't really mind that.
Yeah,
and as well, if you remember, Berta, when he come in, he said he wouldn't have bought him. He made sure it was known that that's an Edu purchase and not my purchase. He did. Like, people forget that. People forget that when he was there, he went that was done by the regime before me. So, I mean, I don't think he meant that as in a dig at the guy. I don't. But he wanted it known that, no, that weren't one that I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'd rather keep our midfield exactly the way it is and Zubimendi stay.
Oh, same.
But something is going to give here. And I'd rather sell Zubimendi than Lewis Skelly, without doubt. And I don't see any other attacker, as much as I don't think Mikel Arteta trusts certain attackers that much. Like, I don't personally think he's got a huge amount of trust in Gyökeres, because I don't think it was a Mikel Arteta signing. But however, I think that trust has developed over time because of how much he's had to use him and how much he's had to play him. And we won the league through him. His numbers are really still pretty good. He's got a really good attitude and character. I think it's probably the thing I like the most about Gyökeres, to be honest, is which I didn't know when we signed him. And I think it's still going to be the left side. So there's not really a lot of big sales left. It's the midfield, and it's probably Zubimendi or Lewis Skelly. And based on today, it's a no-brainer which one it is. It's just whether you get bids, like you said, and But I think there'll be big interest in Zubimendi if he's on in that last week of the window. I'd hate it to be within the league like a Chelsea or something like that. I'd hate that. If we sent him back to Spain, I could easily stomach it. I'd be like, okay, no problem. Well,
it's one of them where I'm like, if it's around Madrid and it's serious, he probably will go to Arteta or Arsenal and be like, I think I want this one.
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, 12 months ago, he turned him down for us.
Yeah.
But that was with the belief that he was the main part of the system,
Exactly.
I think he's not silly. He's seeing it.
We've got Thomas going. You are coming in here and you are Arsenal's number 6 for the foreseeable. But that is how quick, we have this discussion so many times.
We had this with Bellerin.
Yeah. Debucci. We all thought, oh, wow, what a good signing that is. He gets pushed off the pitch by, what was it, Arnautovic, whatever, smashes his shoulder to smithereens. Bellerin comes in, sorry, mate, you're never coming back.
Yep. And that's how quickly football moves, isn't it?
Podolski, everyone was like, oh, how can Podolski fail at Arsenal? This is, fastest player to ever get 10 goals in Arsenal's history. If we just got rid of Van Persie, he's going to lead the line for us. Nope.
Boom.
No. Yeah. It's
things change very, very quickly.
It's cruel and it's quick. So
yeah, that's the name of the game. You get it both ends, don't you? Really, with players that want to leave you and things like that. But something's gonna pan out. We should be very, very busy in the market, specifically in sales, because let's be honest, we're talking about 2 signings really.
Well, we haven't got much to buy. Yeah, like you said.
Exactly. Who you need to get off the books, and don't. At this point, you can't really qualm about fees unless it's that big player. In terms of like the Martinelli and the Jays, get what you can. Hope they've got a deal that's there for them, because they clearly want to play in certain places and get their wages and whatnot, and get that deal done rather than trying to create bidding wars or whatever you might be doing. James, Coventry on Friday, which is the opening game of the Premier League season. I think it's actually going to be a much tougher game than today's one, and I really do. But what's your prediction? You expect us to line up similar? I think you said you thought Gyökeres would start, but what's your prediction and first goal scorer?
Yeah, I think I think we might get sort of similar to what we had today, except it'll be Gyökeres instead of Havertz, because obviously he used to play for Coventry. I think he might let him play against his foot. But I don't know. Havertz scored, and he was very, very good. But you have to admit, he was very good today. He was very, very good today. So it's a tough one. And we had the discussion earlier on the pod I did today as well, where they said, you know, do you think Frank Lampard's going to sit tight and try and nick something, or do you think he's going to have a go? And I'm like, he's going to have a go. I really believe he's going to want to cut, you know, a bit like when Brentford played us all them years ago, first game of the season, you know, and Carragher and Neville were dancing. You know, you don't see them dance when United or Liverpool get bashed, but love it when Arsenal lose, don't they? They're, you know, joining in with the fans, singing Hey Jude and everything. Pair of bellends, the pair of them. But, you know, I think we got on that, you know, clearly we don't do losses on here anyway. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Arsenal win. I want the clean sheet, but these newly promoted sides, they seem to cat you sometimes. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal, and I'm going to back Zolis, mate. I'm going to back Zolis to score.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Like it.
I do. I like him that much, you know.
He's been brilliant. I mean, you know,
I had this shirt up for luck to, you know, keep us going, because we won the league last season, so I'm scared to change it. But I'm thinking of either getting the one from last season, because that's the next shirt that we won the league in. But if not, if I'm getting one of the ones from this year, mate, it might have Zolis on the back of it. I'm that confident. I'm liking that much already. That, yeah, I really do.
Yeah. Really just seeing a video of us celebrating the Community Shield, and when Yeri and Martinelli are not with the group, they're separate from the group. So,
but it's Jesus in there, because
there's no mention of Jesus on this clip. But again, I've not seen a clip of him or anything.
I saw Marley and all them. Like I said to you, Martinelli, and they've got that. Those shirts are nice, by the way. Those black and the red. Them new tops that we got.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got the t-shirt, really nice. And you know what's really nice is the sweatshirt over it. I got that as well.
Oh, lovely.
Beautiful. It is really way nicer than the old one that we did. Remember the old one with the gold?
Yeah.
Which was it looked really nice, but it's horrible material. This one way better. Way better.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. Because
that's still, you know, God knows who's got that black and gold stuff. That was like, it's coming out once and that's it. You're never getting it again.
Yeah, and it shrinks. Like I can only wear it on this podcast because it comes up to above my belly button.
Well, I got the tracksuit bottoms eventually, and even them, I'm like, I've washed them once, and I'm like, no, they don't fit me anymore.
Yeah, it's weird because it's Adidas.
Yeah,
so it's like it's a bit weird. Like Adidas.
Because I've wanted that hoodie, like that pullover, because I think that black and gold hoodie is the best.
Couldn't get it. Couldn't get it.
Yeah, and if you find one online, they're nearly 300, 400 quid over it.
Point.
And I'm like, I'm not paying that.
I want the shorts, the shorts that they travel in, but they don't sell them online, which is weird. With the red cannon, don't know why they don't sell those. More maybe they'll come out later. I don't know because
they seem to sell us everything else, mate. So you'd think they'd want it, you know.
Yeah, sell them. I'll buy it.
Got bloody crockery that's like 400 quid that someone's buying. You know, we flog everything else.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so you're going 3-1, Solis. I'll go 2-0 Arsenal Odegaard. 2-0 Arsenal Odegaard.
And because he's not here, we'll do it for him. Neil will probably have gone for 7-0, and it'll be 6 goals by Calafiori. He'll get a double hat trick. Neil will always with his David Raya with a header from a set piece. Yeah,
exactly.
We've missed him today.
We have missed him. I told him about it. I told him about it a little late. It's my fault. But I know he'll be on for plenty during the season.
Like we were saying, we do nearly 60 games a year. There's going to be plenty of podcasts for Neil to come back on, isn't there?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. No wonder we took a little break.
Yeah. If we did midweek as well, mate, I think none of us would get any sleep.
I know.
Poor Anthony, he'd be up editing all day.
I know. I don't know how people do it. But look, brilliant win. Doesn't mean much going into the it's all about the first game of the season. Let's hope our predictions are right there, and let's see what happens in the market. I mean, obviously lots should be going out the door, but let's see if our new predictions, based on what the club has done so far, All right, be very, very curious on that attacker, because like you, I'm optimistic that one does happen. Some people are saying, no, I don't think we'll do anything. We'll just stay as is, and that'll be it. You can't have what Arteta said last season, specifically right at the end of the Champions League final, when talking with such clarity and assurance about needing to do big things and move fast. And this is what we've already failed the move fast part, but in terms of upgrading that attack, it has to be one more minimum. It just has to be.
Jack, go further. Because I saw the quote tweet of when we lost to Bayern Munich in that semi-final.
Yeah.
Or was it a quarter? No, sorry, was it a quarter? Because we've always gone one better, and we went quarter, semi, then final. Yeah. Which is why this season it's going to be winners. Just that's a heads up. That's an early prediction from me.
Yeah. Fingers crossed,
but
mate.
Yeah, he said after Bayern Munich, he went, I ain't got the people in the boxes.
Yeah.
I ain't got that special. Yeah. And that's what, 4 years?
Yeah.
Like you said, we've wanted this attacker for 4 seasons. It ain't, we're not whinging for whinging's sake. Got a point here.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
like you said, you can't just, you can't leave it, because if Jesus, Waneri and Martinelli go, well, who you got? What, is there someone in the academy that we don't know that's coming through then?
Yeah.
Because there's no internal solution. You need a body if you're losing, because that's free. Okay, he's more of a midfielder, isn't he, Waneri, than he is an attacker in my head. Loads of people are telling me that he should be the right wing back up to Saka because he's better than Madueke. I think that's something that you can debate, but that's clearly not a debate that's going to happen in Mikel Arteta's head. You can't get rid of all three of them as well. Reece Nelson, just whatever. I don't even count him anymore. But what, you're going to get rid of him too and not bring anybody?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, exactly. Like we said, we're asking for for a top one, but we're not asking for 2, 3, 4s. We're asking for one. And can you take us to, another level with that attack? Obviously, we've tried to do it, but we've got to reevaluate and go again in this window, because there's still a lot of options out there, in my opinion, like we've already named them. And you can't sit still just because you're worried about taking the risk or getting it wrong. Yeah. Because I think we've seen that in the part. Look at PSG. I mean, they've got a better attack than us, and they've just gone and signed 3 attackers that potentially work, potentially don't work. Ferran Torres is not a level raiser for them, but he can play a lot of League One minutes for them, and rest Dembele until the Champions League knockouts. Brought in another young player in that Goats Ajax player that looks like a player and that could raise to a certain level. You've got to take that chance sometimes. You've got to take that chance. Look at the young players there. Doué, we didn't know about Doué till he came through and did it. You've got to take that chance on it, and I think we've got the squad to be able to do that. Even with a Martinelli, we can be able to do that. And if it doesn't work, you go, okay, we've got Eze, we've got Solis, we've got other players that can play in this role. But you've got to be able to do that. So we've got to take an educated chance. That's what the scouting department's there for. 100%. So hopefully we do that, because we've got to try to progress the attack. It's not, I don't think, going to be good enough to win the title again this season, because our defence is not as stable. We're already seeing Saliba and Timber out. Saliba probably out for possibly even half the season. He's the best defender in the world, let alone the league. That's a huge loss. That is a huge loss, and we're going to feel that. So we're not going to be as defensively secure. So we have to be better in the attack, right? Like, it's just, Arteta knows this, so we've got to back him and try to get in. Fingers crossed, mate. It's been a great hour and a half. Sorry, it's went
loved it, man.
Long.
No, loved it.
We have been away a while, so we'll say that, won't we? We'll say that. But we'll be back hopefully after the Coventry game. But another trophy in the books. Premier League champions. Super Cup champions.
Look at Bruno, mate. One competitive game, he equals his tally that he got at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Have that, you lot, if you're watching or listening, have that.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. They thought they were getting 100 million for him as well.
Yeah.
Good one. Højbjerg might come in. Yeah. God, they're horrible to deal with online, aren't they, Newcastle? For Jesus.
Don't.
Gosh, absolutely another level of fan base. I don't even know what to call it. James, it's been a pleasure. Neil, we missed you.
Loved it, mate.
And thanks so much. Get Mike on as well. We haven't spoken about Mike on this podcast for a while, but we'll do it. We'll do it all this season. Up the Arsenal. Keep the faith. Come on, big season ahead. I don't know where to stop. Oh, there it is. Honestly, Zoom, you've got to stop changing the buttons. It's unbelievable.
Anthony, leave it in.
Leave it.